Hi guys, today we're going to talk about one-step equations with fractions. This is part 2 of our video. We are going to review some properties of equality. The multiplication property of equality states that if you multiply both sides of an equation by the same number, the new equation will have the same solution. And the division property of equality states that if you divide both sides of an equation by the same number, the new equation will have the same solution. Some examples from problems we've done before would be like this. 2x equals 24. I'm going to isolate my variable by using inverse operations. I'm going to apply the division property of equality here by dividing both sides by 2 to get x by itself. And so in this case, x equals 12. In this problem over here, x divided by 3 equals 13. I'm going to use the multiplication property of equality to undo what's being done. So I'm multiplying both sides by 3. This is eliminated, and now I have x equals 39. So we've got some examples with fractions, one-step equations with fractions, and I've done the work for you, but I'm going to walk you through it because it's very complicated. So if you'll notice, the original problem is in blue. 3/4 b equals 2. So I have to undo what's happening to b. Well, b is being multiplied by a fraction. How do you undo multiplication? With division. So I'm showing you I'm undoing multiplication by dividing by 3/4. 3/4 divided by 3/4 is just 1. 1b. That's what I want. I want to know what 1b is equal to. So I've canceled out this part, and now on the other side, 2 divided by 3/4, because what I do on one side, I need to also do to the other side. Well, this is a division of fractions problem. Remember our division of fractions rules that state we change any division problem to a multiplication problem. The way we do that is we keep the first fraction the same. I just rewrote it in fraction form. So 2 becomes 2/1, so it stays the same. I change division to multiplication, and I flip the second fraction over. That's called the reciprocal. So now I have a multiplication problem instead of a division problem. Multiplication tends to be easier for us. So when I multiply fractions, I multiply the numerators. 2 times 4 is 8. And then I multiply the denominators. 1 times 3 is 3. And then I reduce or simplify. 8/3 becomes 2 2/3. So my b, if I can get a marker here, b equals 2 2/3. Number 2. If you look in blue, that's my original problem. 2 1/10 n equals 1 1/6. Again, I have to look at what's happening to n. I'm multiplying 2 1/10 by n. I have to undo multiplication with division. So I divide by 2 1/10, divide by 2 1/10. So 2 1/10 divided by 2 1/10 is just 1. So I have 1 n. That's what I'm left with, which is good. I want that. But then let's concentrate over here on the right side. 1 1/6 divided by 2 1/10. My first step when I'm dividing mixed numbers, I need to change mixed numbers to improper fractions, which I've done. 1 1/6 becomes 7/6. 2 1/10 becomes 21/10. Now I have a division of fractions problem. I need to change that to a multiplication of fractions problem. To do that, I keep the first fraction the same. I change the division to multiplication, and then I flip the second fraction over. That's called the reciprocal. So my last set of this problem is to multiply 7/6 times 10 21st. I notice that my diagonals have similar factors to them. So I notice that 7 goes into 21. I can actually cross-reduce by dividing the 7 by 7, and that gives me 1, and the 21 by 7, and that gives me 3. That makes the numbers I'm working with a lot easier to multiply. I look at the other diagonal and I notice I have 6 and 10. Well, 6 doesn't go into 10 evenly, but I know that 6 is even and 10 is even, so I know that they are both divisible by 2. So I can actually cross-reduce those two numbers as well by dividing this number by 2 and getting 3, and dividing this number by 2 and getting 5. So I've made this problem a whole lot easier by cross-reducing. Now I've got 1 times 5, which is 5, and 3 times 3, which is 9. So my final answer is n equals 5/9. I've got some more examples with fractions, except if you look closely, my variable is on the right side. Normally it's on the left, so I can still work with it. I don't need to rewrite the problem. I just need to show my work. So if I look on the right side, I ask myself, what's happening to n? N is being multiplied by 5/3. How do I undo multiplication? I undo it with division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 5/3. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So 5/3 divided by 5/3 is just 1. So I'm left with 1n, which is what I want. And then I have 9 and 1/3 divided by 5/3. I rewrote that, instead of vertically, I rewrote it horizontally using this division symbol, because that helps me realize that I need to change this division problem to a multiplication problem. To do that, I need to change my mixed number to an improper fraction, I need to change the division to multiplication, and I need to change the second fraction to its reciprocal. So I now have 28/3 times 3/5, because again, I changed my mixed number to improper fraction, changed division to multiplication, and then flipped 5/3 over, so it's now 3/5. That's a lot of steps. Again, I can cross-cancel. 3 goes into 3 one time, 3 goes into 3 one time. So now I just multiply 28 times 1 is 28, 1 times 5, 5. And then reduce so that my answer isn't a mixed number. My variable was n equals 5 3/5. That's the answer to my equation. And number 2. Again, my variable is over here on the right side. That's okay. I don't need to rewrite my problem. I can just start using inverse operations from this step. So what's happening to m? I'm multiplying by 2. What's the opposite of multiplying by 2? Dividing by 2. So I divide both sides by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. I'm left with 1m. And then I've got 39/5 divided by 2. Again, I rewrote it horizontally so that it's easier to understand. 39/5 divided by 2. Well, I need to change this division of fractions problem to a multiplication of fractions problem. Keep the first fraction the same, change division to multiplication, and then flip the second fraction. This fraction was a whole number, so to make it a fraction, I just put a 1 underneath it, and then I flip it over, so 2/1 becomes 1/2. Now if I just concentrate on this part of my problem, I multiply the numerators. 39 times 1 is 39. Multiply the denominators. 5 times 2 is 10. And then reduce. So I'm left with 3 9/10. So m equals 3 9/10. It's a lot of work, but maybe you guys can also use colored pencils or colored pens to help you see each step one at a time. Go ahead and try these 4 problems for homework tonight. Cross-reduce if necessary. If you feel the need, go ahead and rewind the video and watch me complete the steps one by one, because you do have some mixed numbers and such here. Good luck.